welcome back to Travel with RoseAnne. I'm happy to be here sharing some information with you again. And today, since I am looking at my trip that's right around the corner, I'm going to be going on a river cruise, a Viking river cruise. And really that's going to be my first time going on a river cruise. But we're going to Europe, so I'm really excited. And then I'm going to be spending a few days in Italy. I'm going to Rome, and then I'm going to spend some time in Florence, where I just love Florence. It's my favorite place to be, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But I thought that I would give you some information on international travel and just some quick little tips that might be beneficial to you if you plan a trip. Here's Nico right here. You want to say hi to Nico? There's Nico. Hello. Those of you who followed me on my olive oil channel have seen Nico quite a bit, and here he is, always next to me. So anyway, one of the things that I think is really important is your passport. So I always take a picture of my passport, and I take a picture of my driver's license, and then I tag it as my favorite, so when I need to look for it, I can look for it easy, along with my vaccine card, because of course now we need our vaccine cards, and every country's different, but I think every country wants to see your vaccine card. So you want to take a picture of your vaccine card, take a picture of your passport, make it a favorite so that you have access to it, because your passport's so important. And if you lose it, it's just really great to be able to have a copy of it. So I take a photocopy and I keep that with me. I bring my passport and then I take a picture of it. I do the same thing with my driver's license. And now with my vaccine card, I do that as well. I think it's really important to make sure that you're covered in all bases and that you have your passport information there. The other thing that I've noticed is that most countries are saying that your passport needs to be active for 6 months before you go into the country. So if you see that your passport is starting to expire, you need to try to get it renewed within a year of the expiration date so that you always have that 6-month window of it being valid. Another tip is when you're international, they don't have TSA pre-check like we have here. And I know I've had TSA pre-check for many years, and it is the best deal around, because you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take off your liquids. It's really nice, but they don't have that in other countries. And sometimes, I know that in France when I was there a few years ago, sometimes they ask you to even put your lipstick and your lip gloss in a plastic bag. So now I always just carry an extra Ziploc baggie or two just in case the requirements are something unusual, and that way I could just throw everything in my little baggie and take that out when I need to, because each country does have a little bit different regulations when they're going through their security. Another tip is make sure, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. Make sure that you know what your phone service is. Because if you go to an international country and you start using your phone, thinking that you might have international service, it can be very, very expensive. So always make sure to call your provider. Make sure your provider has your information. Make sure that they know that you're going to another country. And I know that for Verizon, it costs like $10 a day. And that might sound a lot when you add up 2 weeks, but what ends up happening is if you don't do that and you use your phone, it could really be expensive. So pay attention to your internet provider. I have in the past bought a little like Wi-Fi little thing to be able to connect to the Wi-Fi whenever I needed to. But for the last few years, I've never needed to use it because there's Wi-Fi everywhere, and my service plan provides free data. When I call someone, I get charged for that, but I could use free data, and that's really amazing. So anyway, just make sure you know what the costs are and what you need, because if you have your iPhone or your Android phone, you really want to be able to use it. So you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. Plus, you want to let them know that you're going. The other tip is when you go to another country, make sure that you have an outlet. You need to have an adapter for the outlets. And there are so many on Amazon, and they have really cool ones now where, they actually have USB ports and they have the plugs, so you'll be able to find something really inexpensive and efficient, and that's really important to bring an adapter. And the other thing is, at first, everyone takes credit cards. Everywhere you go, they take credit cards, especially Visa or MasterCard. But I always like to make sure I go to the country with some cash, because you never know. If you end up in a situation where you're having to take a taxi and the taxi doesn't have a credit card machine, I always like to make sure at least I have $50 or $100 or euros or whatever the other currency is, to make sure that I'm protected just in case. I just like to make sure that I'm safe. And there's a lot of times when I travel alone as a woman, and I love it, and I feel very free and grateful that I'm able to travel wherever I want. But I like to also take those little precautions to make sure that I'm safe. So it's always nice to have some cash with you. And the last tip I have is make sure that you let your credit cards providers know that you're going to be traveling. And I know that sometimes you have to call them, and many of them you can do it online, but you need to make sure that when you get to your destination that you're actually able to use your credit cards, because that's really important. And I try to make sure I have one card that I use specifically that doesn't have any foreign transaction fees, and then that way I can keep track of my spending a little bit better than using a bunch of different cards. And I have found that American Express isn't that widely accepted in other countries, and that can be a problem if you're thinking that that's one of the ones that you want to use. Anyway, these are just a few little tips on international travel. And if there is anything else that you'd like to know, if you have any tips or anything that you want to share with this community, I would love to hear them. And anyway, well, thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and share if you know of anybody who loves to travel. And I'm looking forward to sharing more information. And comment below and let me know what other information you want to know. So that's great. Have a great day, and I will see you around. Bye.